Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast. Today, I am so happy to welcome Sharon Soleil. She is a fellow coach and she helps people experience deeper connections in relationships in their home, at work, so they feel less pressured and more present. So, welcome, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Danielle.
Yeah. So tell me, all right, I know you're focused on, these people that are overed, right? You're overworkers, you're overwhelmers, and you help them stand in their present selves and then, or excuse me, find define their pressured selves and then get them to their present, you as you call them. But what tell me a little bit more about this like kind of connection work that you're doing. I know you have a keynote speech that you've been working on. So just tell me more about that.
The keynote is just my way of playing all out for sharing the message that's been placed on my heart. And so the connection is the way that it's my solution that I'm offering to everyone who works with me. And, because burnout, we all talk about burnout and people give talks and workshops about it and have all these tools which are helpful. But the keynote is about the three ways that we can connect and just really play all out in our lives without continuing the whole burnout. And I love it because the approach that I take is that we can win. We can win in the game of our life through playing. We can win
Yeah.
through passion and win with purpose.
Love those three aspects. Thank you for that's I love the framework that you've set up. Because that you're right, it's all about a deeper connection to something. And as I was sharing with you, like, I mean, personally, another P word. I, I'm sorry, my marketing brain. I
Me
always have
too.
to do an alliteration or a rhyme. I think we talked about that the first time we you called. You were talking, or we had our first call, and you were talking about the pressured you and the present you, and you wanted every adjective to start with D or something like that, and your one
Yes,
didn't,
remember.
and you were like, oh man, like that didn't. And I was like, oh, I get it. I was like, but I think, and you're right. You're so right that, and I love that you're bringing visibility to this, that like as a grown adult in this society we live in, we're always like, tell me a time where I'm not burnout. Like, we kind of that burnout conversation is kind of like overdone. And I think we've accepted that like burnout is just like part of life now.
Right. And that's why I'm sharing what I'm sharing is because let's not talk about burnout. Let's talk
Yeah.
about play.
Yeah, and
Let's
let's talk about I love the also like the reframe. It's like let's stop talking about like, something negative and let's twist it and focus on something positive in your life, something that gives you joy, something that lights you up versus like yeah, burnout. Like that's awful, but if you just make that little mindset shift and also too I love that you incorporated play because it life should be fun.
Yeah, but a lot of people think they feel guilty. Like, have you ever felt
Mm,
guilty when you play or rest? And a lot of us do. We feel guilt. But
mm,
the thing people don't think about is that play is actually a form of rest.
yes.
Because
And I
play,
think
yeah.
forgive me if I'm you would probably know from your, I don't know, from research or maybe your keynote, that I believe, and I don't have any like evidence-based research, but I think like when they say with children, right? Like when they play, like their learning and their cognitive ability is actually really, really great. Versus not to say versus a classroom, but like they are still in that like learning mode and curiosity mode because it's like that's what's activated when they're playing versus like being in like a structured like school setting. Like it almost leads to more creativity and things like that in children, not in adults. But I think that's the power of play.
Well, yes, exactly. And it probably does do the same in adults. So I did do a little bit of research and a quote that has been credited to Albert Einstein, but there's actually really no evidence of it. But there's evidence of him
Well, the
saying,
internet said it, so it must be true. Just kidding.
right, right. But anyway, but what they say he said was play is the highest form of research. But what I
Mm.
did find proof of what he said is imagination is more important than knowledge. And so
Mm.
he valued key components of play: creativity, imagination, curiosity. And those are the things that you have when you're in theta state, right? When you can come up with all these amazing ideas and groundbreaking discoveries, like Mr. Theory of Relativity himself.
Yeah, right?
So,
Yeah.
right. And so he values play. And in my life, I've realized that I value play a lot because I've always loved games, one of my favorite ways to
Hmm.
play. But also, when I was a teacher, I really loved play. And it wasn't just because, oh, I was teaching middle schoolers, but just because I teach middle schoolers, oh, I can play with them. But I just can't be bored because then I zone out. So I don't want my
Hmm.
kids to be bored. So I would just try to think of, be creative. And so one of the things we did is we would play, because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, we would play Let's Make a Deal every
Oh,
Friday.
I love that.
And it was so much fun because it would be the end of the day, and all week long they would have time to get raffle tickets for doing
Oh,
anything. And sometimes I would just give them away for like wacky, funny things, and they were like, "Oh, well, that was cool," that I got
yeah.
a raffle ticket. But anyway, so at the end of the week, one of them gets, I try to involve all of them, but one would, draw, and then I'd give like a homework pass. And then I would say, do you want it? We would have a literal game show in the
Oh,
classroom.
that's so
And it
cute.
was
I
pretty
love that.
boring because I had a curtain on the wall that was like, had a big one on it. So I'd like, do you want to trade in that homework pass for curtain number one? Or
That's
like
adorable. I
box
love
number two
that.
or can number three? And so we would just have fun doing that. And I just would incorporate play. But even, people think play is just for kids. It's really for adults too. I mean,
No,
they do icebreakers a lot in workshops and conferences and things. You play.
absolutely.
So it just opens up a whole new way of connecting and relating with people. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that like too when you're in like a play state, if you will, like you're more relaxed, like you finally get to like be yourself and like take that pressure, like talk about like your the pressure you like you get to take like there's no you don't have to perform for anybody. You're literally like the whole point of play, and this is just like my take on it and my experience of it is like it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. So like the pressure comes off and it's less like achieving or performative or like it's not like that task you have to get done at work. It's like you take that like that pressure out of it being play.
Yeah, and then you feel more energized. And then
Hmm.
when you go back to working again, it's not as hard or heavy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
for sure. I
yeah,
think like I'm sure there are studies which I'm sure like, about play and stress relief and even just like I said, like just I mean, you made it I love that you made it such a fun game for your students, but even just like I mean, people have games on. I mean, and I'm not. Whatever works for you. I always say analog, digital. But people, that's like I'm sure people have like like games on their phones because it's like that's like their little playtime that they have in between a busy day that they just get to like mindlessly do something and enjoy it.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love too also that you another your all your I love all your P's, but I love that you tied back to also like passion and purpose because from where I sit, I always say this to everybody. I am so lucky, like, because there are some people that walk through this world and they never find their purpose. We all have one and we all have a gift, to give to the world. But
Yeah.
I'm so lucky I found my like I always say it's like a high you can't buy. Like I like there is no high on the street that'll give me that'll give me how I feel like when I'm doing what I'm meant to do on this earth. And that's that deeper knowing, right? Like when you are burnt out, it's like you remind yourself like, yeah, like this is why I'm here.
Yes, and you said it. Okay, so play is fun and it really does. It brings you back to the present moment. You're focused on whatever game it is you're playing. You're like all there and it's so much fun. And passion is similar to play, but
Hmm.
it's deeper, like you're saying. It's what lights you up. It's that fire
Hmm.
inside of you. And if you think about it, when you're burnt out, it means
You
there's
don't have you're burnt, you don't have a fire.
yeah, yeah. So when you reconnect to whatever your passion is or find a new passion, that's when you light up. And I was laughing because My
When you
eighth
said
grade.
that high, I can't buy. I mean, yeah,
Well, yeah,
I
because
use that term a lot. People, I'm like, all right, guys, like I'm not, say whatever works for you. I always say like, I mean, I haven't really dabbled in too many like drugs, but I can only imagine that this is a high you can't buy. I mean, I've maybe only done like two drugs in my whole entire life, like, and now marijuana is legal, so I'm gonna like, like, like I mean, like it's like, so I don't have a. I'm not going off of many different samples that I've had in my life.
right, same, because I taught 10th graders and 8th graders, and they used to tell me, "Oh, Miss Tala,
Oh,
we could go get you some drugs in between periods right now in the bathroom." I was like, "Really?" And then
you're like, oh, thanks for the offer.
but the eighth graders, the eighth graders were like, "Are you high?" I would be just teaching. I would be doing my passion, which is teaching, but not just teaching. It would be just teaching in a way that is not just relatable, but relevant, like that
Hmm.
they would care about. And I would just go on and just be in my element and in my
Be
flow.
like, are
And
you high?
they would ask me, "Are you hot?" And I had
That's
never, ever
amazing.
had that. And I was like, no.
That's hysterical. Are you high?
They loved it. They loved it.
That's
Anyway,
awesome. But yeah, but that's the power, and I think like the energy that you get when you do find that one thing that like lights you up. I mean, I use that term a lot, like lights you up. And if that's what it truly is, it's like literally like turning on a light switch in in your brain and your body, being like, yep, like yeah, it's an amazing feeling, and I hope everybody, for those of you listening, I hope you get to find this one day. Because let me tell you, like you can't buy, I was like, you can't buy it on the street. You have to find it in you, and once you do, it's like it keeps you going
yeah,
on
yeah.
those days that you do feel burnt out. On those days that are a little harder than, you know, because we're all, let's be honest, like lifes.
So I feel like I still want to keep talking about play.
Go, yeah, go back. Oh my gosh, yes, please go back to play. Oh my gosh,
No, no,
please, yeah.
no.
Whatever you want to talk about. This is your episode.
Something just came to me about play. Actually, two or three.
Yeah.
Let's pick one.
Yeah.
So the thing about play is, oh, I know the one thing that came to me is that, on the first day of school, what do most teachers do?
They play a game. Like an icebreaker.
Well, they might do icebreakers, but
Oh,
when I
oh.
went to school, they would go over the rules, the
Yeah.
syllabus, and your
Yeah.
supplies, what you need, and then maybe start a lesson. So, like right when my kids walked in, yes, I would play an icebreaker, but it was this game that I love called Trainwreck. But as soon as they came in, I don't even know if I said, "Oh, I'm your teacher." I did nothing formal. I was like, "Okay, everybody, pick up your desks and let's make a circle. We're gonna play a game called Trainwreck." And they're all like going, "Wait, what?" Like this breaks in the middle of our day. So we form a circle, and it was like it's one of my favorite games to still play, and I do play still. I mean, I went to Japan recently, and my daughter's like teaching English to kids and adults, but
Oh,
like, "Mom, what can we do? It's the last day." And I was like, let's play a
play
game."
a game. Yeah.
And even then in Japan, where I don't speak any, well, very, very, very little Japanese,
Oh, I don't know any Japanese. Yeah.
and they speak very little English, we still had a blast with that game. So
Mm.
I just think that's great. But anyway, back to the students, we would play Trainwreck. And the way you play is the person in the middle has to say something true about themselves. And if it's true about you, then you have to get up and switch seats. So it's like,
Ah,
but
interesting.
you don't want to be the last person standing because then you're left in the middle, right? So then you're stuck.
Mm.
And if you get stuck, you have to like three times, you got to sing a song or share your most embarrassing moment. So
Oh
nobody
boy.
wants to be the last one.
Oh,
So
interesting.
then, but what's really funny is you start to learn strategies, but then you say things. People will say things that kind of embarrassing, but nobody's really thinking, "Oh, I can't get up." Everyone's just in like tell the truth mode, I guess. Like, and then people get up and run, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, did they just admit that in front of their teacher?" And then some of them are like, "Oh my gosh, does my teacher do that too?" And so we're like connecting the whole
Oh,
time without realizing it. And
yes.
so, like that one day, walls that are up that people have when you don't know each other, they just like came right down. And it would normally take
Hmm.
weeks or months to do that. And even the shy kids, you just saw them open up. and just start laughing. And yeah, we just got along great. And that really set the tone for the rest of the school year. And I had no idea that that wacky game that I just love to play would even do
Would
that.
help. Yeah, but you brought up a great point of like the connection, right? That comes up in play. Like we are wired to connect as human beings. And I think when you play has in my experience with it and also like just my opinion, has a level of like curiosity that like other areas of life don't have. Like it's a very curious place to be. And I think that fosters even more connection as well.
Yeah, and I do this game train wreck with adults and
Yeah.
workshops, corporate, and the things that happen, or you just get all these inside jokes, right? You find out things you would have never found out if you weren't playing
Hmm.
the game. And then, everyone bonds even more because now we call this person such and such.
Yeah, because of the game. Yeah, and you brought up a great point too, because I know I used to work in corporate, and like that's why I think like games and things like that are fun are so impactful with building, teams and all that fun stuff, pun intended. Because it's a level of play. It's not work. Like there is a level of responsibility, accountability, and adulting when it comes to your work. But when it comes to play, you can be like your inner child comes out.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so playing opens up your heart, and it does. It
Hmm.
opens up to a level of safety. It opens up to even a level of trust. And then when you start connecting with your students, with your coworkers, with your boss, because you're playing together, it really just opens up for more relating, more connecting, more deepening the relationship, even the work relationship. And so for my students and me, that was my work relationship. I realized that the depth of our play matched the depth of our conversations that we would have
Hmm.
over little literary discussions. And
Oh, wow.
those seventh and eighth graders would ask me deep, emotionally intelligent questions. And I'm like, your brain is working. This is awesome.
There is something going on in there. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. I love that you were, yeah, able to form even more deeper connections. Because I'm sure as a former teacher and just working with your clients now, that's the whole point, right? Is we want to connect with each other. I think that, I mean, if you look at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like psychological needs, like love and belonging is like on there. Like that's like connection with other humans. So that's like something we need as human beings to be seen and be connected to them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. You're talking my language. It just
Oh
means
yes, no, I mean, and I will be honest. I mean, as much as I love I mean, we wouldn't be able to be talking right now if it wasn't for technology, but I do think, as much as I love it and the digital age and it's amazing for business, I mean, I wouldn't be able to have a business without all the advancements we've made. I'm a big people person. Like in any opportunity I can meet somebody in person, I like to, just because it's like there is a different connection. And I think, as COVID, what that did to everybody. For better or for worse, but we need to get out there and we need to connect with others. I think that is so important for our mental health.
yeah. If I ever drive down south, I'm going to give you a call because
Yes, please.
I love to
If you're
meet
ever driving
people
through New
along the
Jersey,
way.
or if ever, I mean, I know I like if I'm ever up north, I will give
Yeah,
you a call. Like
call
I'm
me.
very
Come
that
stay
is
with
so funny.
me.
It's so funny whenever I meet another person from New Jersey or an entrepreneur, a coach, a therapist, whatever. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, when do you want to meet up? I'm like, do you want to meet? And I'm like, because it's just like I meet so many people from the podcast and just
Yeah.
different clients, and they're all from, all over, which is wonderful. But like, I'm like, yes, I can actually like meet you in person. I'm like, this is great. Yeah, but I would love you to also explain to everybody because I love your concept of like being overed because I feel like we all are all overed, like overstimulated, over it, over, like
You're
we're
right
just all
over it.
overed. And like I guess tell me a little bit more about your process and how you help people get from being like being in their over state to like their present like whole state.
Okay. So I call that state you're talking about over syndrome. It's where
Yes,
we
yes,
overdo life, we overwork, and we overthink life, which,
yes.
like you said earlier when we were talking, that's pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we're all pretty much in like a we're in a like an overstimulated
Yeah.
experience, and for us to get to like a calm state is even a challenge some days. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that I do that is through something that I call the freedom to flow. It's the freedom
Mm,
to flow method. And it's like if a person's stuck or feeling overwhelmed, then they get stuck. Like we can do this in 45, 30 minutes to an hour. We can do something where someone is stuck. And I love it. It's amazing because it can go deep and get to the root, like the root
mm,
belief or the root emotion or the ancestral root of what
mm,
is overwhelming you and causing this the stuckness. And then I guide the person to connect with their present self, which is their true self, who
mm,
lives in the present moment. And then they access their wisdom, that their divine wisdom that they were created with, that is within all of us, and they receive the actual next steps, the very wisdom and answer that they're looking for. And it's always so much fun and so amazing the things that come forward. And I'm like, whoa, this is helping me too, because wisdom is universal for all of us. So that's why I love doing this because I get so much out of it. But yeah, so that's what freedom to flow is. It's that solution to over syndrome.
I
And
love that.
it helps you to not live pressured by expectations, whether it be of others or the unrealistic expectations of yourself. And then it helps you to get back into the flow of who you were created to be and
I
live
love that.
with.
I always tell people it's so hard because we live in like, this overstimulated world, but we also live in a world that we're conditioned. And I always say try like I that's the high you going back to my high you can't buy. I'm doing what I'm created to do, not what I'm conditioned to do because life taught me a certain conditioning. I did that for a good 14 years of my first career, and then I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. So I was like, let me switch the flip the script and go the path I want to go. Yes, harder. But feeling when you talk about like, the feeling and the connection I have even towards life is so much different. I walk through the world so much differently now that
Yeah.
I'm like my truest, most authentic self. I'm my core self. I'm not cloaked with protective mechanisms. And I love that you also brought up because this is like this I can tell we align, and also like I tell this to clients of mine if they've had other coaches, and I'm like, the reason why you're still in the pattern or you're seeing me, I'm like, is because you haven't gone deeper and tried to find that root cause or couldn't work with a coach that could, because sometimes people they want that quick. I get it, you want a quick fix, you want a quick transformation, but if you don't find that underlying root cause that's causing a behavior, or you need to heal something, or you need to break a pattern, you won't be able to repair it. You'll just keep repeating like on autopilot the same mistakes or the same situations until you
Mhm.
figure out what that root cause is, and
Right.
then you can go from there. So I love that you said that. If you go to that level with your clients, because that's where I think the real transformation begins, is finding that root cause. And it like it's a I've done it myself. It's trial and error, and it takes time,
Hmm.
you
So
know.
one little example, thanks for sharing that. And I love
Yeah.
you feel that freedom to flow, girl, because yeah, you're on
Yeah.
that, you're working on
Oh
that.
yeah, I'm flowing.
And it's just it really is
It's
the
the best
freedom, the
feeling.
greatest, the best feeling to
It
be able
is.
to be yourself and not be who you think you need to be. And you're not
Yeah.
even realizing you're being who you think you need to be. You think you're being you.
I know that, and that's the craziest part about it. And it's like you don't know it until you're out of it, and you're like, oh, like, but this feels so much better. And you're like, you're like, oh yeah, like this feels great. And then you're like, oh wow, I was in that for so long. Oh my gosh, it's amazing the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, so like here's a quick little example, a little story about how like a freedom to flow session can work. And I'm going to use myself for now because this came up
Yes.
recently. So I had to go speak somewhere, right? And speaking is
Hmm.
something I love to do. It just comes naturally.
Yeah.
And but I was having these negative thoughts. Like I didn't want to go speak at this one event and I didn't know why. So
Uh-huh.
I have a Say Yes to You community. It's like a circle. We meet 3 weeks in the month. And so I was guiding them in a freedom to flow. And so I was giving them time to, because their eyes were closed and they were like going inward. So I was like, oh,
Hmm.
let me do something here while they're doing that. So I was like, let me do myself. So I was like,
Yeah,
let me
let's do.
do this thing that I'm feeling. I feel stuck with this speaking. So I went back to an earlier event in your life, right? And it popped into my head. I won't get into the details of how I do it, but I hadn't thought about this memory. I don't know when. I don't know if it was the last time it happened or maybe once. I think maybe one other time. But anyway, I was in sixth grade and our teacher had us do this play and she assigned us the roles, and I was Demosthenes. I
Ooh.
remember that. And he's a Greek orator who had a
Okay.
speech impediment. So she gave me
Oh.
a bunch of peppermints to put in my mouth. So when I did my role, I would talk like a lisp. And I was like,
That was like that stuck with you,
right. But
that core memory.
that wasn't the root event. But what was cool is that I was just brought back to that
Yeah. Yeah,
out
you
of
were
the
brought.
blue. So
That is,
anyway, that subconscious mind, so amazing.
oh my
Then
gosh,
I
yeah,
went
it is.
back to the earlier event is when I was 6 years old in first grade. I won the school spelling bee, so therefore I was going to represent my school in the regional spelling bee. And spelling was one of my strengths.
Yeah.
So I was excited, but I got out somewhere before halfway. And of course, all of us would say, like, I knew all the hard words, even the ones that the winner lost, except for maybe one of them I know I didn't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, the word I lost on, and it was because I was nervous, but it was help.
Oh my
I
gosh.
spelled it H
That
L
sounds
E
like something
P.
yeah, like I'm like,
So then my dad, who's hilarious and fun and likes to play, it's where I got it in my DNA. But he cracked a joke afterwards because he knew I was bummed, so he tried to make me laugh. And I did laugh, but then I realized when I went back to that moment that inside I wasn't laughing. I was thinking
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I stood up in front of everyone while I was speaking and I
Oh,
said something dumb.
yeah, and
And
that
that's
shame set
where
in.
Yes, that's where it came from. And so it's going to be interesting now to see if I ever, I mean, I know we all have different kinds of nerves, but yeah. And anyway, so my 6 year old told me that my root belief was just thinking that I'm going to say something dumb.
Well, no, I mean that's a very so you talk about like you it's so funny you taught the word like your root belief, but what you were saying like when you were like having that nervousness and that hesitation maybe to going and speaking the for as a from a mental health perspective, the first term that I brought up that was like ding 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 in my mind was limiting belief because that's what it is. It's a limiting belief, and for a lot of times our limiting beliefs are built from core wounds when we're throughout our whole lives, but a lot of it is childhood. And I'm talking from my now I'm talking as a family therapist in training. I'm having like I have to switch. Sometimes when I'm talking to my clients, I have to be like, Danielle, don't go in that because I could go. But I could go there, but that's not what we're here for. But a lot of the times, as I'm learning as and I as a family therapist in training, is that a lot of our childhood wounds, they're normally the strongest. They're the most lasting and they're the hardest to heal. So I'm luck I think it's great that you recognize that and like could make those connections to it. Um, and I think that maybe that shows like, like your self-awareness and your, ability to look in on yourself.
Mhm. And the thing, I remember the rest of the belief was that the like I might say something dumb and why would anybody want to listen to something dumb? So nobody would want to
Mm,
listen. And so that was like the discouragement in my subconscious to like not want to speak, But then what we do in freedom to flow is we go back to a time in your life where you were in the present moment, you were in your element, you were in your flow, and you gain wisdom from that one. I'm trying to remember. I remember the event. It was, oh, I remember now. I remember now. When I was in fourth grade, I took a class with one of my friends. Her dad ran the community program. And I think it was a class. I don't know if it's called I'm Okay, You're Okay, but there's a book like I'm Okay,
Hmm.
You're Okay. And we got to be on Good Morning South Mississippi. I guess it was
It
Mississippi
was
version
that
of
it was that big. I love it.
yeah. So we got to go on TV for this and speak. And so that was my present moment person that came forward. And she gives you a gift because the people with the over syndrome were over givers. So when I work with them, it's all about them learning how to receive compliments,
Mm.
receive gifts, and not feel guilty or oh no, it's receive. So you receive gifts and so my fourth grader gave me a gift of the book I'm Okay, You're Okay, and she told me that I am a-okay, and even if I'm feeling in the moment, because we're all human and we might get these negative thoughts, that even though I'm not feeling it, like I am an a-okay speaker. So
Yeah, you're
it's
good.
encouragement to me. So and then what happens is sometimes that gift will enter into your awareness and remind you of this wisdom that you had given yourself. And it helps you to
Yeah.
shift into that moment. Breathing is great. It's awesome. I love breathing.
Oh,
Teach
me
breathing.
too. We
But
often
I
forget
love,
that we have like I feel like that's the one thing we take for granted a lot of the times is our breath. And I will I it works. I have a full I'm a fan as well of breathing. um and I will share it. Like, I mean, I have micro moments, which I should have done today, which I will do after this call, after this episode.
good.
um is I just, in between calls, meetings, whatever, I just take like 30, it only takes us like 30 seconds, and just take
Oh
like
yeah.
a couple of deep breaths, be in your body, listen to your body, and that just helps me like reset. I do it throughout I try to consciously do it throughout the day, because as we've spoken about, I could literally just go. Like, if it wasn't for like the biological need of eating, sleeping, and I could just go. Like, but I know, like, my body, your body needs a break. We're not machines.
And that's another thing about over syndrome. We are in
Mhm.
constant overdrive. Our nervous
Yeah.
system is stuck in overdrive. And that's why the breathing is so key.
Yeah.
And
And
when
I
we're
yeah.
breathing, right? Because we're in
Yeah,
sympathetic.
yeah.
So breathing shallow. Yeah. So yes.
Yes, I know. It's refreshing too when you just like take a moment, and like also too, like, I'm a big fan, which I'm sure you are as well, of like just simple grounding. And honestly, it could be as just simple as just going outside for like 2 minutes. Like, just get out of your house. Like, it doesn't you don't have to do anything. Just get out and get some fresh air. Talk about breathing, and just get some fresh air for a couple minutes. Like, or I know it's cold, we're in the Northeast, so, but like, just like getting that I think they say 15 minutes of like natural vitamin D. And I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, you can go for a 15 minute, even though it is cold. I get it. Trust me, I don't know. I don't want to be outside right now. But, that might help you and your mental health and your just mood for that day.
Yeah. Well, in my bed, no, in my office, for some reason when I moved in there, that window did not have a screen. And I was like, huh?
Ye-
And anyway, so I'm thankful that it doesn't though, because what I do now is when I don't want to get out in the snow, I'll open the window and I'll stick
Yes.
my head out and I'll be like, hi, sun. Hi, trees. Like,
Yeah.
hi, nature. Because yes, nature is the most healing place, the most invigorating place to be on earth.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
always say, like, and I forget this because, like, I always think of like, like, I think I naturally like associate nature with like, obviously, like, sea, like water, like land, and like ocean, beach. Like, I love the beach, and like flowers, and all, trees. And I forget that, like, we are, as human beings, like, we are nature. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, we are part, like, we're, like we're not exempt from, we're part of an ecosystem and our biology. Like, we're nature. And I always have to remind myself of that. Like, we are, like, like as humans, we're part of nature, and that's why we feel so connected to it when we're in nature because we are nature, you know?
Yes, and actually, nature is one of my offices. Nature is where I have sessions with people or play dates. Some of us like
I
to play.
love that.
We do it
That's
out in nature.
amazing.
We'll go for a hike,
Yeah.
go to the beach,
Yeah.
and that's where we'll hang out and find that freedom to flow.
Yeah. Oh, I think you probably, I mean, I could imagine you have probably like better sessions and more, you feel more connected and because you're just like at a more calm core, state versus being activated or and it also too, if you're like, yeah, if you're out in this, then it feels like I said, going back to like play, and it feels good. It just feels better than a normal conversation would. Versus that's why I'm a big too, like on like the in person. Not to say this conversation isn't wonderful and doesn't feel great, but I've noticed like, and also too, like with the digital age, like when you're physically with somebody you're able to like kind of read their energy a little bit better versus like if you're on digitally. I've found with working with my clients in both coaching and therapy, especially therapy. There are things you can pick up more if you're in person versus
Mhm, mhm,
versus digital, but there's nothing wrong with video and Zoom and all that fun stuff, but I think too when you're really, and I'm sure you would agree, when you're really forming like a true relationship with somebody, like I would love if I could meet all my clients in person. It's just unfortunately physically impossible, but I
mhm.
can only imagine even just one meeting that could make a big difference in the connection you make.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, but this has been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being here. I love talking to another female entrepreneur coach who shares a similar mission as I do to help people just navigate this crazy world we live in
Yes, yes.
and try to live the best life you can live. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Danielle. Thank you.
Of
Thank
course, of course. And as usual, you can find the Feeling and Healing podcast on YouTube at Feeling and Healing, as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify.